Yes, good evening. Well, today, Sir Keir Starmer was humiliated by a group of plucky Chagosians.
We are not visitors, we are belongers, and we be here to stay forever. God save the King, God save the United States of America.
Well, they've taken control of the Chagos Islands and they are daring Mr. Human Rights Lawyer to evict them for a second time.
Was born in this place right now and got exiled, and he's back. I dare Keir Starmer to remove my dad again. That will be a crime against humanity again and again.
What absolute heroes. Just yesterday it was claimed that the whole Chagos Island giveaway might be unlawful anyway. Friends of the British Overseas Territories, Robert Midgley, explained it yesterday on GB News.
Over the past few months, we have been writing a series of questions to MPs to try and find specific details about the Chagos negotiations. And on Friday, the minister from the FCDO confirmed a very crucial detail which undermines the whole legal case from the UK government. So back in the 22nd of May 2025, the Defence Secretary said that Diego Garcia had to be given away because there's an imminent legal ruling that a court case may take place. And he said that it could be from the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. Now, this is really important. And he ruled out that it could be from the ITU or from the ICJ, because you can't do a binding ruling between two Commonwealth nations. And then on the 4th of February, the Foreign Office confirmed that the US was fully aware about the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, and that's the reason why we have to give them away. However, there's an article within that tribunal called Article 298, which exempts the Chagos Islands from ever being given away, basically. So what we found out, and from probing from MPs, that on the 12th of February, which was on Friday, the Foreign Office confirmed to us that Article 298 does exist, it is active, we are signed up to it. So this undermines the whole legal case that the Defence Secretary laid out in Parliament, and it completely destroys the whole deal, the whole purpose of the deal. It takes away, it means this deal does not need to go ahead, it doesn't even need to exist. So there's a lot of questions now about whether potentially Parliament has been misled. Of course, Parliament has to decide for itself.
Yeah, well, there we go. I know it's quite a lot to get your head around there, but basically we're already signed up to something that means it will be impossible for us to give the Chagos Islands away, which begs the question, why on earth have they been continually trying to do it? In the last 2 days, it's emerged that the government apparently knew there was no legal basis for giving away the Chagos Islands. And now the Chagosians have moved back onto the islands. So why, oh why, would Starmer have been so desperate to get rid of the Chagos Islands? Some might say it's because his great friend is the lawyer for Mauritius. And today, according to the Daily Mail, Philippe Sands KC shared an £8 million pot of earnings to work for Mauritius over the Chagos Islands. Do you know who else Philippe Sands KC has worked alongside? Oh yes, of course, the Attorney General Lord Hermer. They were at the same barristers' chambers for about 10 years, reportedly. Now, if you ask me, the whole thing stinks. Yesterday, Starmer did his 15th U-turn over the local elections. Chagos should be his 16th U-turn.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We have got External Affairs Officer for the Free Speech Union, Connie Shaw, GB News' Will Kingston, political commentator Jonathan Liss. Will, I'll start with you. So, the plucky Chagosians have managed to go and reclaim what's rightfully theirs.
Well, it would have been ironic if Starmer managed to stop this small boat, but he stayed true to form and let it go through to the shores of the United Kingdom. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think this will be his 16th U-turn, Patrick. The only thing that he really has any sort of belief or conviction in is international human rights law. As you've just demonstrated, this is a terrible interpretation of international human rights law, but it is obviously a belief that he has that this needs to go back. But the other thing I think he is thinking about is his legacy. Now, again, I think this would be a terrible blight on his legacy, but it may play well with Islington human rights lawyers.
Yeah.
And when you think that he will probably be gone after the May elections, and he's not stupid, I think he'd probably know that deep down in his heart of hearts. He'd go, well, look, my record is terrible. This may be something that goes, well, at least I managed to, say something against our colonial past, and that'll play well in Islington.
I mean, I think I'm right in saying, Connie, that now they would have to evict the Chagosians from the Chagos Islands again, which would be a terrible look, wouldn't it? So they've played a blinder just managing to get back there, I think.
Well, this whole stunt today is reflective of the key issue, which I have always found very confusing out of this very confusing topic, is that the people who should be the most involved in this deal, whether there is one or isn't one, should be the Chagosian people, who the best polling we have shows that over 99% of Chagosians who are in the UK and elsewhere want the Chagos Islands to remain British. They don't want it to be given back to Mauritius. So we can remain British, guarantee their right to return. It was so awful. We did commit crimes against humanity, but you can't make a right by doing two things wrong. By allowing them to move back, have their right of return, keeping control of the Diego Garcia base, instead of giving the islands away, not guarantee their right of return, and paying billions of taxpayer pounds to Mauritius. Well, I don't understand why this isn't a cross-party issue.
The Chagosians they're more patriotic than our own Prime Minister, aren't they?
Patrick, the one thing about this story is I'm thrilled that it's the only time on GB News I ever hear people saying the British Empire did something wrong in evicting people from the Chagos Islands. Obviously, that was a terrible thing. And I agree with Connie that they should have been consulted from the very beginning. This was a profound crime committed between 1968 and 1973, roughly, in cahoots with the United States, where Britain basically evicted the entire population of the islands to make way for this joint military base, where the US holds sway. So the idea that the US or the UK are the good guys in this or haven't at all is nonsense. And so absolutely, it should have been first principles. They were consulted, they weren't. So where do we go from here? There were all kinds of legal opinions that the Chagos Islands should be returned to Mauritius. The International Court of Justice had an opinion about it.
Already returned to Mauritius, though.
Well, they were part of the colony of which Mauritious was a part. Yeah. But until 1968. And so, obviously... Donald Trump... Is there going to be...
the lawyer for Mauritius?
On the question about is there going to be a U-turn, the only U-turning we've seen on this has been from Donald Trump, because obviously he said that he was in favour of it. Then when the Greenland thing went down, he said he was against it. Now he says it's the best deal that Trump... Do you
not think that what is, as Connie was rightly saying, a very, very confusing and kind of nonsensical story, one of the only things that would make sense is if Sir Keir Starmer is desperate to plough on with this because his great mate and the Attorney General's great mate is the lawyer for Mauritius. Do you not think that stinks?
I'd have to look more into that, but it doesn't look great. I agree with you.
Right.
They all have the same philosophy, which is this anti-Western colonial guilt that says that we need to atone for past sins. So even if they're not in cahoots financially, they're all ideologically in cahoots by saying that we effectively hate this country and its history. That, I think, is just as likely.
Well, people are just talking about how we just agree that the history is bad on this particular issue.
Oh, it's interesting.
You can hate the history there, can't
but then the Chagosian guy gets off and says, "God save the king, God bless America."
It's not about the king. It's about the British government.
I think the point is that I don't think anyone disagrees that what happened in the 60s and 70s was awful. But the way that we correct that or go forwards doesn't have to be such an overcorrection that we end up making things even worse.
OK, but Connie, you just said a second ago that the Chagosians should have a right to return.
Yeah.
No one is saying that. No, I mean, obviously, some people on the left are saying it. I haven't heard people who are against this deal saying that in particular.
Yes,
They said that.
Andrew Rosen.
Well, OK, well,
probably been the biggest voice on this
if there are
podcast.
people saying that, then that's fine. But often what I hear is that people are saying just that Chagos Islands should remain British as part of this kind of flag waving, nostalgic idea that the sun never sets the British Empire type thing. Not that there should be any kind of justice for the people who live there.
Practically speaking now, the big developments in the last 2 days are that it looks very much like we are actually signed up to a treaty that would mean that the Chagos Islands would be exempt from being given away no matter what. And the government appears to have confirmed that. There you go. And then now there are actual Chagosians living back
Yeah, and I
on
tell you what, the United States would be the last people to welcome the Chagosians returning, because the reason that they were kicked out in the first place is because the US government insisted on it. So the idea that Donald Trump is your friend in any of this is nonsense.
Then why hand it back to, why hand it to Mauritius? The Chagosians generally don't get on with the Mauritians. They are ethnically distinct cultures. The Mauritians, by all accounts, have traditionally looked down on the Chagosians. You are literally handing land to an island which has always culturally been at odds.
The Chagosians, I don't think under this agreement the Chagosians will be going back either. Mauritius is not going. I don't think Mauritius is going to let them back.
Well, it's still a snub in the face.
I agree with you.
That's the point. That's, as Connie's saying, that's a failure of the deal. I mean, look, things have become very, very tricky for Sir Keir Starmer. He now has to explain why, in Parliament, they've been relentlessly telling us that if we don't do this particular deal, that we're going to lose the islands anyway, we're going to lose total sovereignty of them, we won't even be able to have a base there, all of that stuff. When it turns out, according to Friends of British Overseas Territories, that is not true, and the government have confirmed that with them. And he's going to have to boot out the Chagosians again, which isn't very Mr. Human Rights lawyer, is it, really? So
I think that no matter... You said, Will, that it's ideological. I think it's ideological, but I can't tell how much of it is this sort of wanting to overcorrect to the point where it makes things even worse for our past sins and crimes, or whether it's the ideology of Starmer just being a committed lawyer of this is what a court has said, so therefore I shall do it. As soon as a court says something different, he'll U-turn it, on like we saw yesterday or the day before, on whether it's local elections or knowing what a woman is.
Yeah, well, this is it. He's got the law wrong a couple of times, hasn't he? I mean, the local elections one yesterday was a biggie. I mean, what's the point of having a human rights lawyer in charge of your country, another human rights lawyer as the Attorney General, if they can't actually get the blooming law right?
Well, you've said he may be compromised by his lawyer mates. Can I throw out he may also very well be compromised by China? We know China wants Mauritius to have these islands because Mauritius is a vassal state of China. As you've reported on several times, we know that Starmer is bending over backwards for China at the expense of this country. I wouldn't be surprised if Xi Jinping has got into his ear and said, just let this go through.
What do you reckon then, Jonathan? Do you think there's a chance that actually what we're looking at here is being compromised by Philippe Sands, KC, and or the Chinese?
No, I don't think that Starmer is a Chinese asset. I'm happy to put that on the record on GB News.
But one thing that Starmer has said in the past is that without this deal, we would therefore be giving the green light legally to China to build bases in other islands. But if he really cared about the threat of China, then we probably wouldn't have gone ahead with the mega super spy embassy here, and we wouldn't be getting in cahoots with Xi Jinping. So I don't understand why.
I just think, you know, can you imagine you're in Downing Street, right, and you're thinking, oh, gosh, Keir, it's been another bad week so far. It's been terrible, actually. What are we going to be doing later? Are we going to be... Yeah, everything's going well here. We're going to make sure we've got the Ramadan messages sorted. That'll be fine. That'll go down well with the base. What? The Chagosians have moved on to the islands. Surely they've videoed it. They're doing an interview on GB News now. No! I mean, yeah, brilliant. Just when you think it couldn't get any worse for the Prime Minister.